Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey there, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. As always, we are delighted that you're here. And thank you so much for joining us and hanging out. And, Kate and I really love all of our guests. And when the guests come on and they talk about their success stories and their inspiration and their path through private practice, this stuff just really inspires us. And it's almost like we're sitting back on the couch with for me anyways, a nice cup of coffee. I know that there's like non-coffee drinkers out there, which kind of are like aliens to me. But anyways, I'm sure that this podcast is going to be one of those situations where you guys are going to sit back and enjoy as we chat with our guests. But before I announce that, we hope that you guys listened last week as we interviewed Marla Berger of Berger Counseling Services on her success story and where she is now. She's a friend, a colleague. We've known her for a long time. She's one of our amazing brand ambassadors. And Marla's story is very interesting because even though she has danced in private practice since 2009, right before and as the pandemic hit, she had to go full-time into private practice. And she is an equine-assisted psychotherapist and a registered art therapist. So she talks about that dance of having to take an experiential type therapy and bring that to telehealth and how she's flourishing today and growing her business. So you'll definitely want to listen to that. And whether you're new or you listen to us all the time, we're just so delighted that you're here. And we know that therapists struggle when it comes to marketing. And Kate and I would like to gift you our marketing playbook, which is your dream private practice playbook. Head on over. It's a free resource. Head on over to privatepracticestartup.com. Head on over to the resources tab, and there you will see it. Go ahead and grab that. We really want to gift that to you because it's our true passion to help therapists really have flourishing practices, work with the clients they love, and live their dream life. So that's our exact playbook on how we built our six-figure private practices and helped other therapists to do the same. So without further ado, we're talking today to Aline-Vanya Guillaume, a licensed clinical social worker, and we are talking about taking a leap of faith and how she created her dream private practice. And it was really cool because I think Aline had emailed us out of the blue and thanked us or something like that and said, your A to Z cheat sheet, and with God's help and her faith has really helped her build her practice today. So welcome, Aline.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We're so excited. Like Kate had said before we hit play, we've been on our radar for a while, and we're so excited that you said yes. And, we're just so curious as, well, I guess we'll take a step back. I just realized I didn't read your bio. Let me introduce you properly. I'm like, I know a little bit about you and let's start there, but wait, I didn't share that. So let me read that. So, Aline was born in Haiti, raised in Miami, Florida, and the only child of a single mom who passed away in August 2018. She originally wanted to be an attorney, but changed her course of profession after becoming a volunteer for the Guardian and Litem program. She loves homemade chocolate chip cookies, me too, and is currently binging on Grey's Anatomy. So let's kind of start in that journey of so you wanted to be an attorney, what type of attorney, and what was it about the Guardian Litem program that made you change your course of action?
Sure. So yes, I wanted to be an attorney. And honestly, the reason was because I grew up just hearing these wonderful stories about my dad, who was in law school, and he was studying. I think he was in his final year of law school when he passed away. I was 2 years old, so I didn't know him. And it was like an unwritten rule that I was to carry the mantle. Right. And so I just thought that that's what I would do. I went to the University of Miami. My goal was to be pre-law. And, as far as what type of an attorney, I wasn't sure. It was during my freshman year that I changed the course. And while I was a part of a pre-law organization, the Guardian ad litem came in and they did a presentation about meeting volunteers. And they told us about the kids in a foster care system and how they need advocates. And I just remember thinking, what? This exists? What do you mean there are kids without homes? I was pretty sheltered, so I didn't know that. And so I volunteered. I signed up to volunteer, and the rest was history. I fell in love with the program, changed my course to social work. My academic advisor was not so happy about that. And I said, well, I don't know what I want to do in this field, but I don't think I want to be an attorney anymore.
Wow.
And so my career goal changed to social work.
And with the unwritten rule of following in your dad's footsteps and honoring him, what did your family think about that decision to switch into the social work field instead?
Yeah, they weren't happy. I'll start there. I think that they didn't know what to say, because the thing is, and I experienced that during my freshman, sophomore year, I didn't declare a major until my junior year because I had to. I really did not know what I wanted to do, because from elementary, middle school, high school, I had a one-track mind. I was to become a lawyer. So I did not even research what other careers were out there. What my personality type, what fits me. I did not know. I just knew that I did not want to be an attorney, and I knew I wanted to continue to volunteer and work for the guardian ad litem. And so I think after about months or a year or so, they supported me. My mom supported me. She's like, as long as you finish college, I don't care what you do at this point. I just need you to graduate. And I said, don't worry, I will graduate. What I'll do after graduation, I don't know, but I will graduate.
Gotcha. So what happened then? So you decided to kind of switch your career path. So what happened?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I switched my career path, and believe it or not, so my very first job was working at Publix. At 16 years old, I worked at Publix supermarkets. And so my senior year of college, I left so that I can finish off my senior year because the workload was too much. By the way, I ended up declaring a history major. I know. And so,
yeah, how does that all fit in?
Neutral territory, I guess.
Yes, but I can tell you a lot about our nation's history. That much I do know. I ended up actually really liking the major. And so after graduation, again, not knowing what I wanted to do, I reached out to my old manager at Publix, and I said, I need a job. And he's like, of course, come right back. We love you over here. So while working at Publix for a year, I'm applying to everything. And I think it was around that point that my family was like, okay, what are you doing here? You have this expensive degree and you're working at Publix. What's the plan? A year after going back to Publix, a door opened with an agency called the Center for Family and Child Enrichment. And I was a licensing counselor. So I licensed foster and adoptive homes. I trained foster parents. I licensed them, and I went into the home. I placed the children. So I got back into the field from the guardian ad litem. And I loved it, ladies. I just loved it. My work felt purposeful. Every day was a different story. And so that's when I knew, okay, I want to make this a career. I need to get my master's in social work. And so I had a plan now. And so got my master's in social work, did great in the program. And throughout that time, I realized that I wanted to make more of a difference on a higher level because I did have a lot of good clinical skills, but I did not like how a lot of the operations were being ran in some of these agencies. What I realized was some of the agencies that I affiliated with, they had operational skills, but they did not know clinical work. And so they would push down, different policies and procedures for the frontline workers to execute, but they didn't make sense because they didn't know clinical. They didn't know, the clinical part of things. So I wanted to bridge that gap. I got a position. I applied for a position to work with the Miami Rescue Mission. It's a homeless shelter. And I became a manager at 24 years old. Ladies, to this day, I still don't know why these people chose me. At 24 years old, I became the youngest manager of the women's shelter at the Miami Rescue Mission.
Wow. So
now I'm running a program where I'm leading homeless women and children. And it was for about 5 to 6 years, I would say. That's where I grew up. That's where I matured. That's where I learned every single thing clinically. That's where I got all of my experience, was from that shelter. I'm so grateful for that shelter, for the HR director saying yes to me, because everything I am today, how I practice, comes from what I learned from that shelter of facilitating groups, from doing one-on-one care, for finding homes, listening to the most drastic stories you can imagine from homeless women and children. And so I have my master's, I'm running a shelter. I know that I want to get licensed. I become an intern, I get licensed. So I have a path. My path is that I want to have some type of executive role at a local nonprofit. That's where I'm headed. That's all. So I'm back to tunnel vision, right? One track mind. That's what I'm going to do. Life hits in 2018. So I ended up, after the mission, I worked for about a year at Jackson Memorial Hospital as a trauma social worker. That's another fun experience. That was crazy. And so we moved up to Broward. We bought a home in Broward. So I wanted something a little bit closer. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the organization called Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
I became a manager there.
That's so cool.
With the teens program. So remember, I'm on a one-track mind. I'm trying to have some type of executive clinical role. I know the experiences that I need to get. By this time, I'm licensed already. So less than a year into my position as a manager at Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies, my mom becomes ill. 2018, she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma leukemia. And since I'm an only child, I immediately became, sole caregiver. And 6 months after her cancer diagnosis, being a caregiver and working a full-time job was just not doable, because I'm a manager. And so I found myself, I'm in meetings and I have like a phone triaging one thing and I'm talking to nurses on the other end. Like my mind was spinning every single day. I spoke to the CEO. Her and I had a very good relationship. Awesome lady. And she knew what I was going through. And I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. And she's like, Aline, do what you have to do. And so because of my situation, my husband and I sat down and we discussed options. We're like, okay, what can you do, if anything, And private practice came up as the options that I have since I'm licensed. I had a couple colleagues in private practice, but I didn't know much about it. And I turned the idea down. I did, because I said, I never desired to become an entrepreneur. That was never a part of my plan. I had a one-track mind. You guys keep switching up my plans, and my plan is to become an executive at a nonprofit. And a couple days later, I'm spending days and nights at the hospital, and I'm like, you know what? Let me look into this. I prayed about it. I said, let's see what Google has to say. So I literally.
I love it.
Wait. So God, the private practice, and Google.
I prayed about it. I was like, let's see what Google has to say. I knew I had the support of my husband. I was like, but I wasn't confident that I can own my own business. So I literally Googled how to start a private practice. And at first I saw a couple of things for attorneys, and I was more specific, in my search. And I found you ladies. I found the private practice startup. I clicked on it because I forgot what your tagline says on Google, but it says something that told me I would find what I need there. So I clicked on your page, and you'll never guess what made me continue. I saw the name Katie Lemieux.
Oh.
And the name stood out because about 2 or 3 months before that, I was trained by her mom with TFCBT. On trauma focused CBT. Her mom came to Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies and trained us. And when I saw the name, because she mentioned you, she said your name. I said, that's that lady Miss Lemieux mentioned. And so I was like, oh, okay. I said, you know what? I'll take it as a sign from God. Let's see. So I signed up for the A to Z checklist. And as I was reading the steps, I remember saying to myself, I can do this. It's not as scary as I imagined it to be. And one of my characteristics is that I'm very operational. Like, I love systems and protocols and procedures. Like, if you give me like GPS is my friend, I will not alter. If you tell me go from A to Z, that's exactly what I will do. I will not add my own steps, nor will I remove. So the fact that I had a clear roadmap, I was excited, and I said, I can do this. And I showed it to my husband. I said, look, I think I can do this. He's like, I know you can. I told you you could. And after once I looked at the A to Z checklist, prayed again, went back to prayer. And I think about a week later. So throughout that week, I started listening to the episodes of the podcast. I was just listening to, I think I started from episode 1. And then I think when I got to like episode 15, I started picking different topics that I think would help me. And everything that you were saying, your guests were saying, I was just like, I can do this. I can do this. And I think about 2 weeks later, I went on Sunbiz, incorporated my business, and here we are.
Wow.
I have goosebumps on goosebumps.
Me too. I love that
powerful
story.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's just take a quick moment for our sponsor before, this momentum is so great. I just don't want to forget that piece. As a therapist, you're probably too preoccupied with your caseload to want to think about bookkeeping or tax filing. Herd Bookkeeping and Tax is a platform built specifically for therapists that helps you track and improve your practice's financial health. Regardless of whether you're a seasoned clinician or you're in the first year of your practice, Herd will help you to identify areas for growth and streamline best financial practices for your business. When you sign up with Herd, you work directly with financial specialists to track your income and expenses, file taxes online, and grow your business. You'll also receive financial insights such as profit and loss statements and personalized monthly reports, so you can say goodbye to poring over spreadsheets and guessing your tax deductions or quarterly payments. Focus on your clients and Herd will take care of the rest. You can even ask Dr. Jennifer Kashani, a licensed clinical psychologist based in LA. She says Herd has simplified and streamlined bookkeeping and best business practices in a digestible and accessible way. Having the foundation of Herd for my business had made myself and in turn my patients feel more solid. Plans begin at just $60 a month and can easily be tailored to fit your business financial needs. You can schedule your first consultation at joinherd.com. That's joinherd, HEARD.com. So how funny, as you were talking about healthy mothers and healthy babies, I was like, of course we know that. And I was like, thinking about my mom doing the trainings. I didn't know that you were trained by her, but that is so very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So here you are. So you're like, I can do this. And this is still all while your mom is ill. Is that correct?
While she's ill. So the practice, I took my leap. So I took 2 leaps of faith. The first leap was leaving my job.
Sure.
That was the first leap. Because again, I was on the course, and the second leap was starting this practice. And I still remember the dates very well. I left on July 27th, 2018. The practice was incorporated August 1st, 2018, and she passed August 25th, 2018.
Oh my goodness.
And I still remember being in the hospital showing her my headshots, like, look, mommy, look. And she was like, oh, you're so pretty. What is this for? So by that time, towards the end of her, I won't cry, I promise. Towards the end of her battle, she was losing mental, she was incoherent, and and so it was very difficult to speak with her because she was forgetful. Memory was gone by that time, but she still. My birthday's on August 16th. I forgot to include that date.
Wow,
so summers are very hard for me. Summers are bittersweet, I should say. And so I remember on August 16th, I did my headshots because everything was very rushed. So I did my headshots about a week prior, and then the proofs came in. I was showing her, and I asked her, I said, do you know what today is? And she was like, because she didn't, the doctors were saying like she wasn't alert and oriented. She was alert, but she wasn't oriented. And she said, today's your birthday. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you don't know anything else, but you remember my birthday. And so I was able to show her the pictures, and she said, oh, you look so pretty. What's this for? And I told her, and she was sad that I left my job for her. And I said, no, Mommy, it's okay. It's a good thing. I can do this. And so she's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I know you're going to do well. So,
oh.
This wasn't the plan.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
It's perfect. So when
I'm crying because I'm thinking about how I started the story by telling you guys how I was so focused on one track plan. And before she passed, she got to see me finish up that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And she still does, right? She gets to watch you and all the good that you're creating in the world.
Every time I see the practice, the logo, everything, I just think of her because it's it's like a memorial to her, to be honest with you. It's because of her. It's because of her that this exists. It's really because of her.
Tell us about your logo and everything, and how is that a representative of her?
So I had so my first branding stint was very, very rapid and rushed because I just wanted to get the practice going. Sure. So about a year, and also to be honest, ladies, I didn't think I would still be doing this. I thought this was like a placeholder because remember, I left my job. Mm-hmm. So for me, private practice was just a placeholder until I get back on the horse, right? And so I didn't really take time to go into the logo and everything like that. But then a year later, the practice was doing well. I decided to rebrand. And so I got with an awesome marketing. They have so many names. I don't know, brand ambassador, marketing coordinator. Like there's so many names in that field. But she was phenomenal. And what I liked about her is her questionnaire was therapeutic in itself. Like just the questions that she asked me about who I am, to find the colors, and she got to know my story, and she understood why the practice exists. And so what she did, I don't know if you're able to see the logo. I told her I wanted the logo to, when anyone sees it, they just see like some type of anything, whatever you want to create. But when I see it, I see something about my mom. So when most people see the logo, they see like some type of flame. But if you look closely, it's really it's a silhouette of two women, one younger, one older, coming together, their heads. I don't know if you could see that.
We'll look after the podcast.
We'll definitely,
and we'll include the link to your website in the show notes so people can see for themselves.
Yeah. So when I look at it, I see the silhouette of two women, like their heads coming together. And so that's the representation of my mom.
That's beautiful.
In the practice. Yeah. And so everything else has been 2.5 years later. And I recently hired my second clinician.
Congrats.
Not a part of the plan. not a part of the plan. There's a Bible verse that says a man plans his ways, but God directs his steps. And I always think of that verse. Like I had a plan, but that was not what my plan for life was, what God's plan was for me. And so took a leap of faith, and here I am 2.5 years later, and both of my clinicians, they plan on starting their own private practice. That was their whole purpose of coming to join me. So not only are they within my practice, I'm offering business consults and for them to start their own practice as well. And I highly recommend the A to Z checklist to everyone. I'm like,
thank you.
If you're not starting with this checklist, we can't talk.
We appreciate your support.
We will definitely put the link for that in the show notes so everybody listening can access that. And I just love your story. You're a beautiful storyteller, and just to hear all of the steps and what's brought you to this point. I'm just curious, Aline, what do you think your mom would say to see where you are now and today with how much you've grown and how your brand is expanding, and everything is built for her, from the inspiration of her, and to honor your relationship with her. What do you think she would say to you?
To be honest with you, I think that in my culture, I'm Haitian, Our parents, and I'm sure that some other cultures are that way too, our parents don't brag about us to us. We know they're proud when they're on the phone with other people. And I can, that's what they do. And I can just hear her now with her friends and her sisters talking about the business and talking about how I'm expanding and just being so proud. And also I think that I know she would be proud that like I found my way. I think for a while she was worried about that during those college years and post-college years. Like, what are you doing? So I think she would be happy that I found my way.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I just want to, as we continue your story, I just want to take another quick moment for our sponsor.
Is managing your practice stressing you out? Try Therapy Notes. It makes billing, notes, scheduling, and telehealth a whole lot easier. Check it out, and you will quickly see why it's rated the highest EHR on Trustpilot with over 1,000 verified customer reviews and an average customer rating of 4.9 or 5 stars. You'll notice the difference from the first day you sign up for the trial. They offer live phone support 7 days a week. So when you have questions, you can quickly reach someone who can help. You are never wasting time looking for answers. If you're coming from another EHR, they make the transition really easy. Therapy Notes will import your client's demographic data free of charge during your trial so you can get going right away. Use the promo code PPS to get your first 2 months for free, or try out Therapy Notes for free, no strings attached, including their very reliable telehealth platform. Make 2021 the best year yet with Therapy Notes.
So tell us you've built a very niche-based practice. So what type of practice have you built? And what are some of the struggles and triumphs along the way as you've navigated private practice?
So yes, my practice is very niche. It is a faith-based counseling center. And the reason why is because I honestly believe that was the vision that God gave me. Because growing up in church, the church population, they do not go to therapy. And that's just the truth. They go to their pastors, their priests, their ministers, their rabbis, like whoever is a spiritual authority in their life. And while I honor and respect those in their respective places, they don't have clinical judgment, like they're limited in what they can offer. And so I did find that a lot of individuals who also go to church, yes, they're praying, but some of their families themselves, they have diagnosable mental health issues, and no one, and you can't just pray it away. Mm-hmm. And so there was a fear for therapy. And what I learned was, and because I didn't have that fear because, I'm in the field, so I know what we do. But the fear that I began to understand was they did not want to be judged by their therapist. They also did not want to be asked to commit to an intervention that they felt violated their beliefs. And so understanding that, I wanted to cater to that population because I know that's not true. Not every intervention violates beliefs, And not only that, the fear of being judged by their therapist, I understood that. I did. Someone told me, I don't want to be told I'm crazy when I say that I'm believing in this by faith. And so I understood both sides. You know what I mean? I understand how that could be a diagnosis for delusion, while on the faith end, I know what you're trying to say. And so when I counsel, I'm not doing Bible study. It's just that I'm catering to a population that I understand their language. Mm-hmm. And the other reason why I wanted to cater to this population is because one thing I learned about private practice is that there are a lot of mental health professionals out there. It's a lot of us. And what I found is that a lot of people are general. A lot of people have different niches. And so I'm not everyone's therapist. And so if my practice doesn't work for you, there's like 100 you can choose from. But my practice works for this specific set of people. And I wanted to give them a chance to have a place to go, to not feel as if, like some people, they were uncomfortable with seeing that this person specializes in everything else and then added Christian counseling afterwards. They weren't sure if it was a true Christian counseling or are you just saying that, some of the struggles that I faced was, I'll be honest with you, I was told that it wouldn't work. I was told by, I could think of 2 specific people who told me that, don't do this. Like, I'm too narrow. It won't work. And I'm happy I didn't listen. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy I did not listen. I said, no, this is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do. And it's okay. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And then not only that, I'm paneled with just 2 commercial insurances, and I just started accepting them late last year. After I was able to negotiate some contracts, but I'm primarily self-pay. And so that's another reason why they told me it wouldn't work. But guess what? It works.
It does.
We're so glad you didn't listen and you trusted your instincts and your passion. You followed your passion and your calling. And there is definitely a need for that. How awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other struggle I wanted to mention was marketing. Marketing was a huge struggle. I think I listened to about 2 of your podcasts about this. Like, marketing was hard because I'm a behind the scenes person. I don't care. Like most people will say, I don't care to put myself out there. Imposter syndrome is real. I don't care to be judged. And wait, did I say this right? Is this post correct? Or, how do I look? Oh my gosh. So that was torture for me to get used to that. That was another huge struggle. But being self-pay, I knew I had to. I had no other choice but to put myself out there.
So what do you do for marketing? What's helped you?
What's helped me, honestly, is Google Ads has helped a lot. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is probably my number one source of referrals. Also, I recently hired a social media manager because it just got too much. Great. I was posting like once every other month, and it would take me 2 hours to create a post on Canva. I said, no, I can't do this. This is not my calling. I don't know how to do this. And so all my posts are generated by her. And that's honestly, besides my practice management system, Simple Practice, which I thank you guys for. Besides them, she has been my second best investment.
Awesome. And I know that you're mentioning your branding person. Do you remember their name?
Yes. Her name is Carleen Jules from Jules Management. She's awesome. Yeah, cool. She's phenomenal. Very personable.
Very cool. We always love to obviously give resources, so that's a super helpful resource.
Please do. I've interviewed plenty of marketing agencies, and she was the first one that I felt like did not see me as a number and did not generalize my practice. Like, she got to know me personally. In fact, it was actually to the point where when we were done working together, I said, I'm not one to make new friends, but I don't think I can let you go.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, ultimately, what do you want our audience to take away from your message today, Aline?
I think I would summarize it with, don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Sometimes life does not go as planned. Mm-hmm. Not sometimes, all the time. Life does not go as planned. And you have choices when life doesn't go as planned. You can be mad. You can throw an adult tantrum. You can protest, or you can pivot. You can say, okay, let's see what can I do with the cards that I'm dealt? What can I do with it? And whatever options are before you, before turning it down, ask God and Google.
I love it.
That would be another great topic. Ask God and Google.
Yeah, so that would be my biggest takeaway. Don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Listen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. As long as you have breath in your body, there's another chance. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take that leap of faith.
Awesome. And if people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
So I am on all the social media platforms, although I only use the main 2, Facebook and Instagram. And so you can find me at Therapy Terrace. So the the words THERAPY, both on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can find me via email. Our general email for our practice is safespace@therapyterrace.com. And so, or if you're looking for a business consult, you can find me at Aline@therapyterrace.com.
Awesome. Well, we so appreciate having you here and sharing your story and really getting up close and personal, and just really excited about what you've created. And, one of our favorite things is always just to watch how you all flourish. So we're excited to watch what's next and what's going to be happening in the next year, and so on and so forth. Startup Nation, we hope that you enjoyed this podcast. I know Kate and I thoroughly have. We hope that you guys join us next week as we welcome Kelly Smith-Dent. And Kelly talks to us and you on how to create a summit. So for those of you who are looking to outsource, grow bigger, diversify, and are thinking about a summit, you'll definitely want to check out this podcast.
Aline, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. It was super inspirational, and I know Startup Nation really enjoyed it as well. Let's take a moment for our Startup Nation superhero shout out for this episode. This comes from Blake Roberts, and Blake says, as a therapist in training desiring to start a private practice, majority of the podcasts in my library are related to learning clinical skills and tips to be a mental health business owner. The private practice startup is among the top, and I've learned so many things that I didn't learn in grad school. If you want a successful private practice, this podcast must be in your lineup. Blake, thank you so much for your feedback, and we are here cheering you along every step along the way in your private practice journey. And Startup Nation, if you're enjoying these episodes, we encourage you to subscribe, rate, and review the show. And of course, let us know if there's a particular topic that you haven't heard yet that you would love to hear. We love creating content that specifically meets your needs. So we will see you next week. And in the meantime, stay inspired.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.